Hello students, welcome to this video tutorial on how to create the Apple logo on the back of your device model. Okay, so what I've done is I've orbited around, so I'm looking up at the back of my device model, my iPod Touch. So what we need to do is we need to find a good image of the back of your device. Now when I look at this image, I can see that the Apple logo is roughly in the center, both in terms of vertically and horizontally. So this is going to be very important when I map out the position of that logo. So I'm going to use the pencil tool, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of rest my pencil along the top edge of my iPod, and I'm going to try and find the midpoint. So I've got the midpoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the pencil tool. I'm going to click once, and I'm going to draw straight down to the opposite edge, and then I'm going to click a second time. So what I've done is I've divided the back of my device model in half vertically. So I'm going to do the same horizontally. I'm going to rest my mouse and kind of trace down the edge and hopefully look for the midpoint. There's the midpoint. I'm going to click to activate the pencil, and I'm going to go straight across, and when I've reached the other edge, I'm going to click again. Okay, so I've got these guiding lines now that are really going to be helpful when I position my Apple logo. So when I refer back to my reference shot, I can see that the Apple logo is slightly above the center line. Okay, if I imagine that the center line is there, I can see that the Apple logo is slightly above the center. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into that position, slightly above the center. Okay, so to create the Apple logo, we're going to use strictly just one tool, and that is the Arc tool. So I'm going to click on the Arc tool, and I'm going to start here in the center. I'm not going to click, and I'm just going to move away left to the center. I'm going to click once to activate the Arc tool, go down, click a second time, and then push out to the left. And then click when I've got the curve right. Okay. All right, I'm going to rest my pencil on this end point, and I'm going to trace a line across, and I'm going to do the exact same but opposite on the other side. So I'm going to click once to activate the Arc tool. I'm going to go down, click a second time, and then I'm going to push the arc outward. Okay, so this shape is roughly the shape of a circle. Now, if you find that your apple is too skinny or too wide, this is how you can adjust it. You can change tools to the pencil tool, to the arrow tool, and you can highlight this side, and then you can simply move it with the move tool. You can move it towards the center or away from the center, depending on how you want to adjust it. If you find that the arc itself is too short, then you can just delete it and draw it again. Okay, so let's have a look. At the bottom here, there's kind of like a little bump here. So let's create that little bump. I'm going to use the Arc tool again. I'm going to click on this endpoint once. I'm going to go across to the other endpoint, click again, and then I'm just going to push a slight arc upwards. Okay. All right. Let's create the bite out of the apple right here. I'm going to click roughly about here, click once, I'm going to draw straight down, click a second time, and then push it in. Now again, you can adjust. If you find that the bite was too big, then I'm going to create a smaller arc here. Okay. Then what you can do if you really want to have a good look at it is use the eraser tool and get rid of this part of the arc. Okay, not bad. All right, let's create the top part where the two top pieces kind of curve inwards. So let's go back to the Arc tool. Now you can start right on the end here, but if you want to start it further back, this is how it's going to look. So what I'll do is I'll zoom in here. Okay, so I can start from here. I'm going to click once, and then I'm going to go diagonally down. Click a second time, and I'm just going to push an arc up like this. Okay. Then I can do the same on this side. I can start at the end point, or I could start a little bit farther down. Do the same thing. Click once, click on this end point, and then push the arc up. Okay. Now for me, I can get rid of these little pieces here with the eraser tool. Okay, looking pretty good. All right, the last bit, the little leaf here at the top of the Apple logo. Pretty easy to do. So let me just pan. All right, click on the arc tool again, and I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go up diagonally, and then push out an arc. Not too great of an arc, a very shallow arc. Once I've got the top, I can repeat and then push the arc the other way for the leaf. Okay. Now sometimes you have to zoom out to have a look at what you've created. Okay, not bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all of the guiding lines in the top half of the back of my Apple device right here. Okay. Okay, so if you want these lines to stand out, we're going to use the offset tool, which you've used many times already. So let's click on the arrow tool, and what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to drag a box around the main part of my apple so that the entire outline is surrounded. Now you can click on the individual pieces holding the control key, but I just find that sometimes when you create an arc, it's broken into many pieces. So this is a quick way to highlight the entire shape. Once the entire apple shape is highlighted, let's use the offset tool. Let's click on that edge, and then let's bring this in a little bit, or I can bring it out. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to bring it out. So if I bring it in just a little bit, you see how you've created a double layer here. Now the reason why we do that is then, actually, let me first do the leaf. Let's see if this is going to work. Let me use the offset tool. Okay, it looks like I have got a tiny hole here in my leaf, so I might have to redraw this portion. So let me just draw this portion again. Okay, then I'm going to highlight that leaf. Going to use the offset tool, and maybe I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so the reason why I've created a double layer is then I could give a little bit of definition when I go to color it. So for example, I can use a darker color for that tiny outline here and here. Let me get it. And then I can use a different color, a lighter color, on the inside like this. So that when I zoom out, you can see that there's that two-tone feature. Okay, it makes it stand out a little bit more. It makes it look almost like that metallic, like it's glittering. Okay, all right, so let's put the last thing in here. Let's put the lettering here. Very simple font. All right, let's use the 3D text tool. Because mine is an iPod, I'm going to type in iPod, and I've actually found that the font that matches the most closely to the Apple font is Arial Narrow. You can keep it bold if you like. Extruded has to be 0, and I'm just going to estimate a height of, let's say, 0.4 cm, 0.4 cm, and click place. Okay, now you'll notice that it's not really oriented the correct way, but you know how to fix this. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to go up to use the rotate tool. I'm going to click once in the middle of the lettering. Don't hold the mouse button. I'm going to draw down, click a second time, and then I'm just going to spin it. Then you have to click a third time to complete the rotation. Then I'm just going to use the move tool, and I'm going to move this into position. Okay. Then you can take your eraser tool and erase the rest of your guiding lines. Okay. And then you can go and color it in. You can shade it in however you like, however you think that's going to look. Some people have even created this two-tone, this diagonal slash in the middle of the logo to create this two-tone effect. Okay, so I'm very excited to see your Apple logos. Thanks for watching. Bye.